Hello guys, welcome everyone. The name is Laszlo. In this video I will be introducing you an Excel file that I built and currently use as my diary, calendar and budgeting software. Video part 1, I am going to be discussing its functionality, and this video is primarily aimed for users of this sheet. And in video part 2 I am going to be sharing some of the tips and tricks that I've had to use to make it come about and work the way it does. So whether you're here to glean some techie Excel tips or you're just looking to be inspired in building your own budgeting calendar sheet, I really do hope that I will be able to cater for you one way or another. You will find the link to this spreadsheet in the description below. But before we go any further, allow me to just make a disclaimer that I have built this sheet personally to fit my purposes. So if you do find along the way that there are some features that are different to how you would prefer to have them, feel free to tweak them to suit your needs. Now let's get started. Upon opening this file, this is exactly how it's going to look like. But if you are going to keep your sensitive data in here, either in the calendar or under the budget sheet, I do recommend that you encrypt this file. The way to do that in Excel 2016 is to go to the File menu, choose the Info tab, and click the Encrypt with Password option. This will require the person to put in a password before opening the document. You will also find that both sheets have some protected areas on them. This is simply to keep the formulas that are underneath protected. So if you were to double click on an area where you're not supposed to be editing the formula, you're just going to see this error message. However, as I said before, if you want to tweak these formulas, feel free to unprotect the sheets. There's no password set, so it's quite convenient for you to do that. Allow me to just first and foremost walk you through what you see. I have a 2-monthly calendar layout. I find that a lot more convenient than the single month calendars that are out there in the usual templates. This calendar is fitted to a Monday to Sunday week, and it is full and complete with an in and out section. This is here because if your work schedule or anything like mine, you don't always work the same days, you don't always have the same day offs, or you probably would want to mark long weekends or holidays that you have upcoming. And if you were to put a capital O in there, it's just going to mark your dates in this orange color to bring your attention to them. The current date is always highlighted in blue, so obviously this is also going to auto-update as well as all the other dates in both of the months and the header section as time progresses. The calendar has a notes section both for the current and the upcoming month, where you're able to just take short brief notes for yourself to do for the day, whether that's attending a stag do, checking your firearms, or reading Proverbs 31:29. It will always keep you up to date, but you need to be mindful for the day. What you will also find is that as the month progresses, with the new month coming, the headers will swap around. So you're going to have March coming over to the first column, and you're going to have April appear up here. But with that, all your notes are going to be automatically copied over, so that they stay under the month they belong under. Simply when you open the worksheet, it's going to update these notes, and it's just going to give you a pop-up window that's going to explain you that they have been updated, so you don't have anything to do with that at all. The little calendar is complete with a reminder section on the right hand side, and it works a very simple way. You put down the date in the left column on the left hand side and your notes on the right hand side, and whether these dates appear within these 2 months, you're going to get a red highlight, so you will never miss your wedding anniversary or the expiration of your Netflix subscription ever again. That's pretty much everything you do need to know about this sheet. I have built a previous extension where the sheet would email all the notes relevant for tomorrow in advance for me. It was aimed at keeping me up to date even when I am not near my computer, as current applications on mobile devices do not support VBA, but I didn't prove to be useful, so I have that removed in the version that you will be able to download. To finish up on the calendar, allow me to draw your attention to the navigation panel on the left hand side, where you're able to choose whichever sheet you're wanting to be looking at, whether it be budget or calendar. What was my goal when creating this sheet. I was looking for a clear visual and interactive way to track my expenses, determine my current financial position. I also wanted to see those expenses expressed not just as sums or comparisons to one another as percentages, but also in relation to budgets that I'm able to allocate for these expense categories. I also wanted to desperately find a way to schedule my future transactions and to provide myself with warnings of when these transactions are due. Before going any further, it will be really helpful for you to see my transactions sheet that I have hidden. So right-clicking, unhide, choosing the transactions sheet will reveal the hidden sheet for you. This is to just to help understand how it all comes together. 4 simple columns recording dates, items, amounts, and categories. Coming back to the expenses sheet, in the middle of the navigator section, you're going to find the scope of inspection. It's simply 2 dates that are typed in here. In the worksheet that you're going to be downloading from the description section, you will find that there are formulas replacing these dates. That's to make it more convenient for you to select always the current month. But if you were to amend these 2 dates, then simply you're going to Amending these 2 dates will simply adjust all the sums, percentages, charts, and balances that you see accordingly. So I'm just going to do that to show you how it all works together. So this is 16th of January, hitting enter, and you're going to see all the tables adjusting to the period that you have selected. On the left-hand side, you're going to see your expenses chart. It's a really convenient way of displaying all your expenses. Fairly self-explanatory. You see the blue bars reflecting your actual expenditure, while the orange ones are going to be showing your budgets that are allocated for each of these expense categories, such as rent, utilities, groceries, or transport. Where you end up with a negative variance, where you have overspent, you're going to see it in a red bar, and you can conveniently read the figure underneath. And where you still have a bit of money to spend within that budget, you're going to be seeing a positive variance with the figure again included. Clicking this chart will quickly reveal that the information in the chart is drawn from the little table underneath. In the middle, you've got your actual expenses, where your lookup formulas are hiding. They are looking up the expenses on the left-hand side. Feel free to amend these. This is where you're able to create your own categories. Just keep the income category on the top, which is excluded from your little chart, but it's relevant for it to stay there. On the right-hand side, you're going to be able to determine what your monthly budgets are going to be. But again, these are going to be interpreted in relation to the scope of inspection on the top-hand side. Next to it, you see the breakdown of your expenditure and what categories these fall into, how do they relate to one another, and a total percentage of what you have spent already. The chart is followed up by your transaction tracker, where you simply just on the left-hand side put down the item that you want to look at and the target that you want to reach. And it's not just going to look up how much money have you already put aside or spent on that item, but it's also going to display that in a handy data bar to see how close you are to fulfilling your financial goals if you're tracking your savings. Up on the top right, you're going to see the total savings category that has gone out. Last but not least, allow me to walk you through how the input panel works here. Use this to record any expected or recurring payments that are on your radar. And as long as these due dates are within your scope of inspection, that's going to amend your forecasted balance. You're able to look forward and see how things are going to be turning out for you financially. The due by dates will keep you on top of your payments, giving you a very handy feedback. On the right hand side in the stats column, I've set it to 7 days warning, but feel free to amend it however many days you want to have your warnings to. If a transaction is due within those days, then you're going to get the little finger pointing at your transaction, and the rest of these categories are fairly self-explanatory, where you still have time or where the transaction is overdue. If that transaction has taken place, then you're going to get the little tick, which is only going to be displayed where you have made a payment for the same category and the same item as well. Make sure to fill up all these columns with information, otherwise you won't be getting the warning column. I'm just going to press Ctrl Z to return that item. how have I gotten around to automate the inputting of the data? I have worked with tick boxes for these payments that have turned out to be rather inconvenient in the long run, as I was unable to amend this table to suit my needs. The most convenient way I've come around is just simply use a change of background color for the payments that you want to send to the transactions sheet, and click the send button. That will trigger a little VBA code that's going to loop through all your selected payments, and it's going to ask you a single question, highlighting your payment, whether it's a recurring monthly payment or not. If you answer the question with yes, the due date will be amended to the 15th of June in this instance, reflecting the next month. Or if you answer the question with no, then the payment, after having been transferred to the transaction sheet, is going to be removed from your input table. So in the first instance, I'm going to say yes, and you can see how the date has been amended accordingly. And the second instance, I'm going to be selecting the answer no to see how it gets removed from the table. And that's pretty much everything. You're going to find that on the hidden transactions sheet, these payments have appeared in the relative categories. You can always come back here to doing any adjusting if you need to do that. And that is pretty much everything that you need to know about this sheet as far as a user might be concerned. If you do have any questions, tips, ways to improve my work, or any awesome modifications that you have made, encounter any problems, feel free to let me know in the comment section below, and I will do my very best to see to them. If you have benefited from this video, please just pass it on to someone else. And if you're interested in the technicalities, keep an eye out for part 2. That's it for now. Thank you very much for your attention.